is the North End. This is the North End.
I should have been there, so but that's how it is.
Steady with the language.
Sorry.
This is the North End.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the North End YouTube channel, a Premier League fan channel where we're going to get into a bunch of stuff. With me this week, as usual, actually, to be fair, is my buddy Brian Ireland. Brian, how are you?
I'm doing well, mate. I am sitting on my patio enjoying summer weather, and as you can see behind me, what used to be a great view, and now it's a bit of darkness. But looking forward to this chat, and it's a bit like what United's situation is like right now. It used to be bright, but now it's dark.
Wow, that's interesting. So soaking up the night air and making shots right away from Toronto. Right? Brian Ireland and repping Toronto, Azaz. What's up, dude?
Well, Azaz, you're muted, mate. You're muted, mate.
Azaz not capable of hitting his own mute button, but I'll do that for him. That's fine.
I got you. You know what's funny? On Brian's microphone and then the lace coming out, it looks like you've got one of those mate things that all the South American players.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
can you see that? Yeah,
I do. I can. Yeah. Do you want me to move the mic?
Yeah.
Is it funny though? I don't know. Let's ask JP California. JP California, what's going on, dude?
I'm melting.
Oh, fuck.
Like,
enough of you.
Oh, here we go.
Dave, let's get Dave in here.
Straight to the weather conversation.
I don't want to do
guy's
it.
got nothing else.
The guy, then why do you live in California? Every time we chat, you talk about how hot it is, man. It's probably hot.
Now he's not even using the microphone. We take the piss at him at the microphone. He doesn't even use the bloody thing. Dave, put your microphone in front of you.
Can you not hear me?
It gets quiet a bit. That's all.
Paul was giving.
We usually know what we're doing, folks.
Day.
Okay, so before we get into the action, let's just have a quick pause to acknowledge the elephant in the room that JP California is in fact an engaged man now.
Oh,
congrats!
Congratulations, JP California.
Congrats, buddy. Congrats.
Thank you, guys. I was terrified.
Totally to the end of your life.
Yeah, I totally shit the bed when it came to the little speech tour, but the rest of it was pretty dreamy. The spot was really nice. We were up in Monterey, California, recorded video like the next day. It was really cool.
Yeah, I saw your stuff on social, and I do wonder how you managed to find a Burger King in Monterey, California to do the romantic gesture. It made for some really interesting social. I like that the standards of your fiance are so low, though, that you stay.
Oh, they have to be for me.
Because once she goes up to an Arby's, you're toast.
Okay. You must be one of the 5 people in the world who actually eat at Arby's. I don't understand how they stay in business. I never see people there.
You know what I learned the other day is RB is roast beef. Arby's roast beef.
Oh God, that's terrible.
Boom. That's not a joke. It's actually what it is.
Yeah,
how it is.
Literally where the name comes from.
You got to watch up the video of the Arby's guy where he goes on this massive tangent on the car crash. It's really funny, actually.
Kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yeah, pretty much. They used to have a mean chicken. They used to have a mean chicken sandwich back at the Arby's back in the day.
Who the fuck eats Arby's? Come on, guys.
This episode brought to you by
Arby's.
Arby's.
We got the meats.
Okay, let's get into it. Premier League action week 1. Let's kick it off. Weird week for many.
So excited this happened, by the way.
Just generally, what can you really learn about week 1? So many teams are still kind of incomplete or just kind of figuring some stuff out. It's always traditionally been a high scoring week. It does tend to be a little bit clumsier, a little bit not quite Premier League level yet. An exciting week debut for a lot of new players, the new look of the Premier League with new stars and new studs. So it all kicks off on Friday where Arsenal, who I thought looked okay, took Crystal Palace down 2-0.
Can I just quickly chime in on this because I have an opinion on this. It's quite strong, and this is not. I know Connie's going to say to me, it's a biased opinion because he always says this when I take the piss at Arsenal. But Arsenal in this game played really good for 25 minutes, and then for the rest of the game were kind of shit. And Crystal Palace, for the most part, despite the fact that they didn't have the ability to score, which is their problem, were better than Arsenal across the board. So I see all these pundits talking about how good Arsenal were, and I'm like, I don't really think they were that good. I think they were really good for 25 minutes. I think Jesus had some really good moments. I do think he's going to be good, and I admit that I have said he wasn't going to be, but I think he will be. Maybe not to the level others think, but I do think that that there's a bit of an overrating of what Arsenal did in this game.
I don't disagree with you, mate. The only thing is, I literally think it's the exact same game that was at Anfield where you thought Tottenham played better than Liverpool. So, like, I don't know. Like, I agree. I don't think
That's
Arsenal were
ridiculous, by
great.
the way. But
I
go
don't.
on.
How is that ridiculous? It's
That's
exactly
ridiculous.
the same game. It's exactly the same game. They played like Arsenal played well for 25 minutes.
Except
and then-
Spurs created actual chances.
Sure,
Palace didn't.
Let's
Spurs
focus in
didn't,
on
but-
this game. Let's focus on this game.
Palace didn't, Azaz. That's the difference. I mean, it's blatantly different. Let's be honest. Go on.
So
Go on.
yeah, I
Keep
agree.
talking nonsense
I think,
if you want.
I agree. I think the narrative around Arsenal playing so well is it was
It's a bit weird, isn't it?
It was bizarre. Yeah, like I feel like you can win a game 2-0 and it can look really comfortable, but it wasn't comfortable
It's
for
wishful
most
thinking.
of the time.
But
Yeah,
hold
and
on a second. Hold on. I actually agree with what Brian's saying, and as I agree with you, but I think in the Premier League, especially nowadays, when you get the 3 points and you win by a 2-goal margin, it almost papers over that conversation. But Brian, I actually agree with you. I thought for 25 minutes, and then they were not good at all. And if anything, Crystal Palace were better.
Yeah.
I would say I just think it was a poor, listen, it's hard to say, right? They got the 2 goals. They got the 3 points. They weren't great, but it's one of those, right? You take it, like if it was Spurs or if it was Liverpool, and we've all had those games. Man, United's had a ton of them, where if you win 2-0 and you didn't play you take it and run, right? But Brian, you're right. I remember watching
I just think it's
the
the
pundits.
narrative
They're like,
of how
oh,
much people
Arsenal
are like,
starting
"Oh,
off
they were
well.
so
I'm
good."
like,
Yeah,
no,
I'm like,
they didn't start off well. They were actually not
Yeah,
good at all.
that's my point.
But
That's
I
my
think when you get the 3 points, they don't even want to waste time saying, "Oh, are we worried about Arsenal because they won 2-0?" But I agree. I think you're bang on.
Yeah, I think if you look at Palace in that game, and if Palace had a somebody who could finish and they could do something in the final third, because they created everything up to that point. They basically owned Arsenal for that second half, especially the second half. I recognize that the first half Arsenal were quite good for the first 20-25 minutes, but I mean,
they just control the game?
You have to accept. No, I don't think so. I think they were lucky they came up against the Crystal Palace side who didn't have anybody who could finish and didn't have anything to create.
But
'Cause
Brian,
that's what it looked like to me.
What do you think about this? So, because we talked about this all of last season, and I think the season before. We don't know why they haven't gotten a striker. They never do. It doesn't make sense. But am I the only one who thinks Crystal Palace will do marginally better this year? Like potentially a 7 through 10 spot? I like their team.
I think you might be the only one.
Yeah,
Unless they bring
say-
somebody in. Unless they bring
a
somebody in.
striker. Like what if they brought
They
in
need
a striker?
they need a striker. They got rid of Benteke, who I think he scored 10, 11 goals for them or something like that, or maybe around
His
there.
time was up though. They need
He's
a young
not good.
guy
No,
who can move.
don't get me wrong. I'm not
Yeah.
saying he should have stayed. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you gave up 10 goals from a player who didn't score, and you didn't replace a player who didn't score and only got 10 goals. They have to have somebody who can put the ball in the net.
They need a 9, right?
Against an Arsenal team who gave you the opportunity, who gave you the
Agreed.
ball, who let you play, and they let him play, and they didn't take advantage of it. But Arsenal were not great in this game.
Interesting that after the game, Arteta commented on the resiliency his team showed, which maybe in years past they had not shown, which is another way of saying we were kind of up against it and we didn't blow it, which was true. I mean, they were up against it and they didn't blow it. They did play 3 at the back, which is a thing I think they might be toying with. They had White starting as a right back. He eventually came in so that they had a very good-looking 3 at the back. Again, 3 at the back is, you can't really separate how the team played with how the 3 at the back looked. They looked good. Everybody in front of them looked a little bit shaky. But there's some tactical things I think that you could see this year at Arsenal that might be interesting to keep an eye on. First game of the season, though, cannot draw too many conclusions when it comes to tactics.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
We're going to move on to the next game. Klopp called it a game that felt more like a defeat because of the performance than it was actually, which was a draw. Fulham, I thought, had a very good setup. I thought they really took it to Liverpool.
Pressed really well.
The pressing was, if you learned anything about what Fulham is going to be this season, it seems like they may be this year's pressing team. Does that eventually fall off a cliff at some point, as pressing teams seem to do when they first get promoted into the Premier League? It's hard to keep up that pace. But on this day, Mitrovic scores 2, one from the penalty spot, brought down by a guy who doesn't usually get caught by bringing down players. But
Sure.
What can you say about Fulham other than
Zaz is stewing right now.
Sure.
Can we all pause? Hold on. Can we all pause right now? Who here in the group who thought it was a penalty?
Oh, it was.
There's a penalty, yeah.
It was soft as shit, man. The guy went down hard. He literally jumped in. He jumped into his leg.
He might have played it a little bit, but it's a foul.
A little
Penalty,
bit.
man. That's a foul.
I could see it going. I could see it going either way. But all I'm gonna say is I thought it was on the soft side. That's all I'm saying.
But most penalties are these days, Connie.
Yeah.
That's just the
you got
nature of it,
you play. You can
unfortunately.
play for it, right,
I
bro?
got to give a shout out to Connie here. The
Here we go.
morning of the game, I was dreading having Mitrovic and thinking they were going to get throttled 4-0. So I switched my whole line about to take out Mitrovic, and fucker gets 2 goals.
I know, dude. I got.
why is that?
I was,
Sorry, why are you saying that's got anything to do with Dave Convery?
I blame him. He totally.
Yeah,
thought
you gotta,
my
you gotta,
lineup wasn't- my forward lineup wasn't good
dude.
enough.
You're a teacher. When you tell a story, don't you have to preface it with context?
We have people listening to us right now.
Yeah,
Tell-
dude. You have to. Storytelling is an art. Saying we were talking in the chat. I told you not to pick Mitrovic. I told you not to pick Martinelli. You went along with that. Picked a team. Like you have to tell stories. When you're telling this. Martinelli.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
Stories. I'm gonna end up like Dave Connery talking for 45 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
Now I'm,
also love that-
related to Sean Connery.
We all know JP's gonna be that guy who criticizes somebody for dropping a player. It's on them, but he'll never give credit because, oh yeah, no, I won this year because I kept going to Dave for advice.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go back to the Liverpool game, please. I'd like to hear from Azaz.
I want to hear
on this one.
Azaz's thoughts on this because this is a tough game for him.
Yeah, no real complaints, to be honest with you. I think I have been saying the last couple of weeks, I think there'll be more points dropped this year than normal. So careful what you wish for. I said in my five things. Things come at you really quick. Similar to how Spurs were going to win the league 2 years ago, and they were top of the league in December, and then they fell off. Things come at you real quick. So we were crap. Liverpool did not play well. Obviously, I don't expect this standard of performance, but you know what? Fair is fair. Fulham deserved at least a point. Absolutely not a penalty, though. You know what?
No, not a pen for you. No,
not at all. Like
Okay.
I feel like this. It's so stupid how you can see things one way from your own team and then another thing for another. So maybe I'll call the same thing later on and I'll just be hypocritical. But I just do not see how.
You mean you have a bias? You have a bias? Is that what you're saying? You have a bias about that?
Yeah, fair enough. I just
colored glasses.
I just stuck a bias.
Nice
I just stuck a bias into our private chat over here of how like the same person could ever call the same thing twice, right? Like it's like we see one thing about our rivals or our own performances one way, and then we see something a totally different way when it's our own team. So Liverpool were crap. They didn't deserve to win. I don't think we deserve to lose either. So a draw is fair in reflection. It's crazy that the first game matters so much that we're already playing catch up, but them's the breaks. We were shit.
You know what's interesting?
I'm looking at what you put in the private chat, and I'm just baffled as to why it's just in the private chat. Like, why you put a bunch of stats in there? Like,
you know what he's getting at.
Why it's in the private chat? Because it's like I said at the start of this conversation, I thought Arsenal's performance was literally the same thing as Tottenham did at Anfield earlier this year, and like apparently Arsenal weren't all that, and apparently Tottenham were.
No, but oh my god! Anyway, that's just absurd.
Yeah, that's what I'm
very
saying.
completely different.
We can see things. We can see things one way. It's like if a team has 22 shots against.
I don't want to have your description of what a bias is again. We don't have time.
Yeah,
for
we
this.
already know this.
Bobby K says 100%.
You're milking it at the moment.
We were shit.
Alexander Hilton, whose team I don't know, has a very strong opinion that they are winning the league. Everyone else
He's a
is
Spurs
the mud.
fan, obviously.
Are we supposed to know that? Are we?
No,
supposed to know
I'm
that?
telling you that because he's deluded like most of us at the moment because we're feeling really.
He
good
might be an
about
Italian fan. I don't know what that picture.
I know Alexander. He's a Spurs fan. Alexander, good to see you here. Bobby K, Spurs fan as well. Good to see you here. Well, Spurs
Bobby
represents in the comments. We're representing everywhere we go. Everywhere we go.
You know what's funny though? Like usually when you press Liverpool, right? Like they're good enough that they get out of it from the back and they beat you on the counter. Azaz, this is probably just week 1 rust. Like I wouldn't be too concerned. I think you guys will be fine.
I would be concerned in the sense that, and this is just, and I'm sure you would agree, and I've seen other Liverpool sort of pundits or the other people speaking about it. I'd be concerned about dropping points, generally speaking, when it comes to who you're competing against.
A title race.
City will not drop points. You cannot drop points, and I think that's the main thing. It's sort of fucking hell. We dropped points already, meaning we have a catch up to do, and that in itself is difficult. I think any team that's going to try to keep up with City or Liverpool can't drop points, and that in itself is the hardest thing to recognize or to grasp. And if Liverpool have already dropped points, you're just waiting for City to do the same.
I completely agree.
Before that happens,
completely agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Free shirts, man. Free shirts. I don't choose the color, actually.
Can somebody just buy JP a shirt, period, instead of having him get free shirts?
Just get them white and blue. Just get them white and blue, and we'll be good.
Nice
transition to JP's team. Aston Villa fall to Bournemouth 2-0. First game back in the Premier League for Bournemouth, hosting Aston Villa. Aston Villa go out, decide to not only strip the captaincy off Mings, but also strip his starting role in the Aston Villa defense. It wasn't pretty.
It's getting worse, actually.
In a lot of ways, it was very pretty for Bournemouth. There were two teams here, I will say. I thought Bournemouth, for a team that just got newly promoted, played very well. I think they had a little bit of what we saw last season, where that first game at home, the crowd is up for it, the players are up for it, and maybe you can catch your opponent not quite at that same level of energy.
5, right?
I don't know that beating Aston Villa changes anything over the course of the season. Again, first game of the season, you can't tell. But I did like a lot of what I saw from Bournemouth, but I thought a lot of this was mostly about Aston Villa not playing particularly well, JP. Do you agree?
100%. I thought Villa came out slow. They came out lethargic. We were not dominant in our box at all. If they're going to take out our 6'3" captain center back and replace him with a 6-foot younger center back who's coming back from injury, who did not have a good form in that last season, then it needs to be successful. The worst part is that Steven Gerrard he isn't just stripping him of the captaincy and then benching him. He also had some very choice words after the match. I don't know if anybody caught this. He basically said that if Mings wants a shot at it, he needs to look him in the eye and tell him he's ready, and then prove it. So to me, it very
I like
seems
that
like,
though. I like that from a manager.
But I don't feel like you should be doing that in public. Like if that's your message to Mings, that should be a meeting with Mings. That's not what you do after you lost the match.
JP, maybe he had that meeting with Mings and Mings didn't step up, and that's why he.
But Villa fans don't look at Mings that way, and I don't see Mings as that character. He's a very stand-up guy. He just reeks of class.
Hang on. What did he play this game?
He did not play this game.
Why are we talking about Mings this much?
Because it gets more interesting. Okay, here's the big thing. He keeps talking about playing players on form, but he's playing a player who had a terrible form last season. Is coming back from a long-term injury in Mings' spot. The guy who played really well over the preseason was on the bench, Chambers. He says one thing, but he does the other. Honestly, I could see the Villa fans turning on Stevie G in 5 to 7 games. I could see it turning very fast because he said he wants 3 things. He wants time, he wants a preseason, and he needs some signings. He's gotten all those now, and we look terrible in the first game.
Was there any positives for you this first game? And I know you released the 5 things, and I know
it's actually quite good too. I did watch that before we did this
in a very non-emotional,
very tight.
Positives. So give me the positives.
The possession was really good. We had 65% possession. That was great. Honestly, Boubacar Kamara looks really, really good. A guy who can collect the ball with pressure on his back, keep it, redistribute it. Like he was just
the one
really
positive JP probably for the game.
A defensive midfielder for free. Good business. Well done.
22-year-old French international coming good. I like it. Matty Cash did okay, but we crossed the ball.
Doesn't bode well for my breakout star though. I've got to say it doesn't bode well for my breakout star.
We Ramsey was subbed at halftime.
He was terrible.
We put in 33 crosses with 6 of them successful.
Oh God, so bad.
it just
he was involved in a lot of shit.
We just look like a headless chicken, and if it continues that way, Steven Gerrard is out. He'll be the first manager out the door if it doesn't get fixed in the next 5 games. I'll fucking put money on it.
You've been told, Stevie G, get it together.
Hold on, though. There's a lot of pundits were kind of slamming him after this weekend too. Like, they seems like they're building the narrative against Stevie G. So I mean, it's a new season.
He's had money.
Give him a couple games.
How about this? How about we don't hold on and we move on?
We move on.
Leeds host and beat Wolves 2-1 in. You know what? I think a lot of us don't know what Leeds are, and I think a lot of us kind of assumed they're going to be not great. And I thought they looked pretty okay against Wolves.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like, this was a good back and forth game. Yes, there was a winner, but it was by no means anything short of could have gone either way. Good battle between two of these clubs, and I didn't think Leeds is going to have it in them.
Interesting head-to-head from the two managers.
I want to know what they got at each other.
That was a good watch. I love to see that. I loved a little bit of passion. March apparently said it was nothing. They were just sort of typical sort of post-game kind of pissed off about calls and pissed off about the way the other manager reacted to something. But it adds to the drama, which was a lot of
drama. Good to see Bamford out again.
Yeah, he's been a bit, isn't it?
An entire
Since
season, practically. So. I like him. I think he's gonna do well.
I'm curious how March is gonna play this team, right? Jesse March. He's a bit of an unknown when it comes to the manager.
He's very much in the Bielsa mold. He likes guys to go quick.
He's a German. He's a German.
No, he's an American.
American.
He's American. But
he's American. Yeah.
I recognize he's American. I'm saying style-wise, he's American.
Right. No, Brian, did you know he's American?
Yes, thank you. I'm well aware of his Americanness. I'm saying he
before you are now.
He managed in Germany, and he plays a very direct style. Like
he does.
Why do you keep bringing up Germany? He's American, Brian.
Hold on. The direct style, isn't this the exact reason Leeds teeter off near the end of the season? So yes, they got a result. But are they playing the exact same style of football that might get them in trouble in January?
They were not playing Bielsa ball. They weren't playing Bielsa ball.
No,
it was pretty high energy. It wasn't Bielsa ball because you can't match that.
But that's recognized the players you have, isn't it, JP?
There's nothing wrong with high energy football, JP. That's not that wasn't the issue. Bielsa ball was a very different kind of high energy. It was very all or nothing.
Offense
what we're seeing is
there was
it doesn't matter when you win games and get those 7 points, right, guys?
That club is still built with guys who can run their socks off. Like, it is primarily built with Bielsa ball players. So yeah, he's got a pretty sweet spot. Like, again, too early to tell. I think many of us here thought Leeds, or still think Leeds, will be going down this season. So let's not get too excited about a 2-1.
Yeah, one game
victory over Wolves. And Wolves were okay, but I mean, goal scoring, I think, is still going to be an issue for Wolves this season. So that was kind of apparent from this show.
Paul, arguably you could say we'll know more about both of these teams when they play a better team. Like they're both kind of equally have been coming out of last season equally poor and needed to sort of step up and see where they are. And they came against each other, a team that were both sort of crap.
Harder challenges and more games played.
A run of games.
For sure.
I honestly don't think we're going to know anything really about any teams until about 3 or 4 games into the season. That's kind of what the Premier League is about. Anybody can beat anybody on an off day.
Yeah.
You just get less off days as you get deeper into the season. So that's when you really start to see, like, Fulham, I don't think draw Liverpool unless it's a freaky first day.
Yeah, unless it's the first game of the season. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like, I can still remember when I think Leeds drew or like very narrely like lost to
3-4
to Liverpool in like some crazy game. And it's
that was a great game.
That's first game of the season stuff though. Like, that's what you get when you get the first week. So Newcastle beat newly promoted Nottingham Forest 2-0 in a game where I thought Nottingham Forest looked like shit.
Yeah, Eddie Howe has them going
very disconnected team here when it comes to Nottingham Forest. Very disconnected. Again, we spoke about this in last week's show in regards to them needing to gel and figure out who they are, how they're going to play. You've got a bunch of new players who are going to come in. How quickly can the manager get them to sort of understand each other and play well? And then against the Newcastle side, who have done some stuff in the offseason, but had already kind of had an identity with the management and with what it was that they were expecting to get out of the players that came in. Two very different teams in very different parts of the process that they're in. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see a Nottingham Forest team beaten this comfortably, I don't think, but I do think Newcastle look good. I want give him a bit of credit.
Eddie
They're
Howe
on the
has
up and
him
up.
working really well.
Yeah,
Eddie Howe was just given
he's a
an
good manager.
extension
Eddie Howe's a good
as well,
manager.
by the way.
Good manager.
Yeah, he was.
I don't necessarily know if it was deserved, but
I think it was.
I
Kept him
think
up
he's the
last
guy.
season. He
It's
deserves
not
fucking gold there in Newcastle, dude. They had 1-0 of what, 17 games?
right. JP, he wasn't on a 1 year left deal though. Like they extended it by quite a bit before he's even gone through an entire Premier League season.
Should you reward someone who does something pretty amazing for you?
I don't know. Yes, eventually, but that just
no. Hold on.
very,
Let's be clear about
early.
this. Let's be clear about this. This is Eddie Howe's stopgap until Newcastle go from here to here with the amount of money they have, and he's going to do a good job. But when they get to that point, that's when you're going to start to see something more in the ilk of like a Klopp, or like when they're ready to really invest and go for it, like a Mourinho, a caliber type manager. That's when they'll. But he's a good stopgap manager for where they're at, and I think he's doing a great job.
Yes. Nobody's
Fair point.
Nobody's
100%.
I am saying I just thought it was weird they already gave him an extension. Like he had I think he had a 3-year contract. He had a 3-year contract and he extended it already. Like that just feels a little bit weird. But they seem to like him. I don't know who's running the show over there. They're maybe new at the world of football, but you don't need to give extensions when the guy isn't going to get offers from anywhere else. It's just how that works.
True.
Spurs, who are very happy with their manager and probably could give him a lifeline. Like, you are here for life extension. They're that happy.
Forever.
They're there for life. Beat the shit out of a Southampton team that just did not look very good.
Yeah.
Not to say Spurs didn't look good, but Southampton, they definitely looked like they were kind of sluggishly getting into the start of the season. I've heard a lot of people talk about maybe Southampton are worth talking about going down this season. I don't know about but I didn't see anything in this summer that thought they improved that much. I know the second half of last season wasn't great for them. They do tend to really rely on James Ward-Prowse and his wand.
God, it's just
nice goal.
He's
nice
so
goal
good.
in this game. He scored a nice
goal. But yeah, no, let's get into the real meat of it though. Spurs look good. They look good.
Yeah,
Brian, they
look very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think they look amazing. I think the key factor.
No, I said good.
I think they look amazing. I mean, of course, I'm going to say that over and above just good. But I do recognize, and you just spoke about it a minute ago, Paul, and that it is the first game of the season. I'm not going to get carried away. At the same time, I do recognize that what we've seen from Conte at the end of last season, and the fact that it's continued into this season, means that the players that he started in this game were the exact same players that finished at the end of last season, started this season, and the level was there, the fitness was there, the understanding of what Conte ball is there. There's still a ways to go, but when you get a performance out of Sessegnon like we got, he was incredible for the 65 minutes he was on. Looked a bit, influenced by Perisic. Looked a better player than he had been previously. And Spurs, I think they're in the conversation for making everybody feel uncomfortable, and I think that's enough for now to sort of figure out what's going to go on with that. No goals, no one assist from Sonny, but no goals from Kane, no goals from Son, and still scored 4. I would be a little nervous if I was other teams, because I think that you get all of that happening at the same time. Spurs are going to be incredibly difficult to play against.
Well, that's the big talk right now with all the pundits, right? Like I heard, I think it was Jamie O'Hara. He was going off about how he thinks he has the best front three in the league.
No,
and
statistically, Connie, we do, like, numbers wise, and I'm just saying numbers wise. I'm not saying we can argue a lot of different ways. There's the visual test. Statistically speaking, since the beginning of January, Spurs have the best front three in the league. Statistically, it's across. Like, cool. I can show you the numbers. I can post it if you want, but that's just a fact.
No, I believe you. The Kulusevski has been an absolute steal.
He's incredible.
He was.
So
he was the man of the match. But outside of him, like, the one that really stood out was Sessegnon. He was actually a treat to watch. And I just wonder, like, what role he can potentially play for them, because he was bombing up and he owned that left side of the pitch for most of the game.
He thanked Perisic for it at the end, saying, like, I wouldn't have been able to do this had I not worked with Perisic. That was his comments at the end of the game. So those are the levels you get when you bring in a player like Perisic. Yeah, maybe he doesn't play as much football as you might like, but what he can show to players like Sessegnon, young players in those positions, is it's invaluable.
And I know we're
Brian,
going to
did
get
you
into it
see-
later on. Oh, I was just going to say I can't wait till next week to see like the real. And I
The
won't
Chelsea
say
game is. We'll get into that,
Yeah.
but that's gonna
Yeah.
define where really.
Here's where we
both teams are at.
transition into this. Yes, next week we'll talk about it. They are
Yeah.
hosting, or they will be going to
Big game,
Chelsea.
big game.
Chelsea,
game.
who the next game beat Everton 1-0 in a game that was kind of
Shit.
a little bit indicative of what's going on at Chelsea. Their defense looked
And
really good.
Everton.
Koulibaly
And
looked
Everton,
really
yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about that. But like for me, the thing with Chelsea is where I'm kind of interested. They still don't look like they're capable of breaking down
Nope.
even poor defenses like Everton's
Yeah.
regularly. And
Did you guys all notice that Thiago and Koulibaly both went off injured, or both with a cramp at the end of that game? Like, I would be a bit worried if I'm Chelsea. Like, they're both incredible defenders, but if you're going up against a very well drilled, very fit Spurs side next weekend, and you two of your best defenders who are essentially the reason why you got a result against Everton.
I think they're okay though. The reports are that they're both fine and that they're training.
guys,
in training.
guys, we have an entire session.
I know.
Section of the show.
It's hard
That's
to avoid,
about
Paul.
next
It's hard to
games.
avoid, Paul.
Well, it kind of is. Just don't talk about Tottenham playing Chelsea until.
Can I bring up something?
I can't wait.
Can I bring
Everton.
up something?
Let's talk about Everton.
okay.
They did not look good.
They were
No,
They look
they're
so bad.
lacking goals, man.
Terrible.
They're going to be struggling to score if Donovan Calvin-Lewin can't get going, man.
Calvert-Lewin's injured.
Yeah,
Calvert-Lewin.
he's injured, but when he comes back, if he can't get going, like, let's be fair. Last year, he was injured for a long time. He came back, did okay. Then he got a small injury here, small injury there. I mean, how many games did he really play last year? And if he has a similar year, they're really
Can I
in
tell you
trouble
who they were
for us.
missing so bad in this game?
Richarlison.
Richarlison. Honestly, I thought Chelsea were very lucky to take the 3 points. I didn't think they played well.
They weren't very
I
good.
thought the only positives about their team were Chilwell, and when Cucurella came on, he looked incredible. So for me, I think Chelsea's offense is going to come from the wing backs. Like, literally, it's going to come from James and Cucurella or Chilwell bombing
Gotta have somebody
up
to
the
finish
wings.
that, though, Connie. You got
Well,
somebody
this
to
is a
finish
thing.
that.
Like, I think Kai Havertz, but he's not like a proven 9, though, right? And like,
He's
not
not
a
a 9 at all.
he's not a 9 at all. He can score
mean,
goals, but he's
let's
not
be
a
clear,
Playing like a
9.
false 9.
The
Yeah.
wingbacks we're
False
talking
nine or
about
a
are
right-sided
all
forward. I mean,
the wingbacks we're talking about are all very good at crossing the ball in the
Yep.
air or low and hard across the deck where a poacher runs in and taps it. Kai Havertz is a mercurial, but he's not that guy. He's not a fox in the box at all. He's not a dominant header of the ball. He is not a target man. What's the point of having these guys who can bomb up and down the wings and pick these passes if you don't have somebody who can get on the other end of it? I thought Raheem Sterling was really good, by
He
the
was
way.
great. He
But
was
he
great.
is not
that's
that guy.
player for them, I thought.
You could put him on the right or the left and still try to get that
Still not gonna score any
striker
goals.
position worked out. And they're talking a lot about trying to get midfield players, and they're putting a lot on the emphasis of the midfield doesn't transition fast enough. They're not catching teams on the break
They
fast
have
enough.
a guy, though, and they don't play him. They have freaking Pulisic, and he doesn't get game time.
He's
That's
not a
the perfect
midfielder,
game.
JP.
He
He's
is.
a winger,
He's a
man.
10. He's a 10.
not. He's talking about midfielders transitioning the ball from defense to attack. He's talking about midfielders.
Hold on. You're going to tell the American that he doesn't know what Pulisic is. Pulisic
He's a
exactly
winger,
that
dude.
Guy.
No, he isn't.
He
He's a
doesn't play
friggin'
for
winger.
on the USA.
JP,
He
come
plays
on,
for 10
man.
in the
Get your
USA.
shit together. He's
He
a
plays
winger
for
or a
10
10.
in the USA.
Come
JP,
on,
they don't
man.
play. It doesn't matter because they don't play with a 10 anyways.
They don't play
Exactly.
with the 10.
They don't
He's
play
that
with the
lock
10.
picker. He's kind of that creative guy who, when you don't have a tall guy, he's the guy who's going to play the through balls. He's the guy who's going to beat a guy and feed somebody through.
But JP, what's
Is he?
Chelsea's system?
They're a
Yeah.
What
3-4-3.
system do they play?
3-4-3.
They don't play a 3-4-3.
They
did
do play a
last week.
3-4. Thank
Last
you.
week
They did
played
last
3-4-3.
Well, they did.
But
they
I
did
don't-
The weekend. They haven't played a 3-4-3. They
That's,
did-
No,
that's
not
going to be
generally.
Tuchel's system.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So we're talking about what Pulisic has done at Chelsea, right? Would you agree? So
No,
has
that's
he
not
done
what you
that at
brought up.
Chelsea? So maybe no, but we're talking.
You
talking
brought
about-
up systems. Now you're saying what has he done at Chelsea?
No,
Those
and
are two
so-
different arguments, sir.
No, so okay, so last game at Chelsea they played a 3-4-3. What
Correct.
had Pulisic played at Chelsea in the previous season? And where did he play? Was there a
He
10
plays
involved?
on the left, or he's played at the 10.
Is a left-sided forward, not a
That's
10,
right.
not a creator. That's not the position he plays. I'm not saying he
it's
can't
Mason
do it.
Mount.
It's just
Can
not
I
the
just-
system.
Can I just
It's not
say
in
yet
the system.
again, why are we talking about Pulisic?
Yeah, how did
He
we
not
get
start
here?
this game?
How did we get
came
here?
off the
JP
bench and
is
he didn't
on
do
one
it.
tonight, man.
No, I'm
And-
saying they
and-
set up wrong.
I
That's the
can
argument I'm
just say
trying to
as
make.
well.
And that's fair, but
I-
recognize that that's not the position that
They have
he's
Jorginho
not
and
a-
Conte
he's
in
not a
those
10 in a
positions.
system where they
Guys,
don't have
I don't even think this is what we should be talking about. They sold 157 million pounds worth of strikers. They don't have a goal scorer. Okay, I don't think their midfield is the issue. Jorginho, Conte, and Kovacic are more than enough for the middle of the park. Kovacic is a good option. He's a connector. Conte's a connector. They don't have any offense. They can't score. Do you see how many runs there's a clip on Twitter, how many runs Raheem Sterling made where the midfield didn't find him? De Bruyne would have found him every time. It's laughable. Like, they really need to get their shit together in offense. The same thing we talked about last season. They can't score. So if they want to get in the top four, they need to go and get a striker. They have, Ziyech is even playing there.
I want to
What?
unpack what you just said, because on a
Do it.
rant about not having a striker, you somehow brought up a point about not having a good enough midfield to see the runs of
Well,
Sterling.
Sterling's their
just
most
move on to the
attacking
next
player
game.
right
Like-
now.
Like, I'm just saying, like, if you want to drive on both sides of the
Yeah,
road,
Yeah, dude, you're like a car that's just like a drunk.
I know that was a little bit of both, but let's be honest. If you really want to pinpoint something about Chelsea, they don't have a 9, and they don't
Okay,
have
do you
enough
wanna
goals
keep
in their
talking?
front
Yes,
three.
you do want to keep talking, but we're not going to keep talking.
Well, am
We're gonna move on to the
is that
next
not the topic we should be discussing about Chelsey?
Leicester.
We can
Let's
talk
talk
about this
about-
topic. We can talk
Talk about
this topic
Pulisic.
when
We'll
we
talk about
get
when they face
out
Spurs
of-
next weekend.
out of this
Okay.
game, because we are talking about development at Chelsea. We already talked about that. We're going to talk about development at Chelsea. How you don't know that this is going to be part of that conversation makes me wonder if you were paying attention before the show.
I got caught up. The
I got-
Pulisic thing fired me up.
I got my things with you. Leicester 2, Brentford 2, in a game that you know what, man, Madison looked really good, I thought, for Leicester, but I really just don't know what Leicester are going to be.
What are they?
Um,
what are they?
It's
now?
hard to tell what Leicester are going to be.
What are they?
Particularly with this rumor that Fofana might be going for 85 million.
What?
That's crazy.
Good
He's a good player, though.
85 million.
He's a
Come
great
on.
player, but he's not 85. He's 45.
He's like 45, 50.
Yeah.
It's the tax, right? It's a Premier
85.
League. Is he
Yeah,
English? Does anybody
He's
know?
young. Is he Belgium?
Is he an English
No, he's
international?
He's French.
Okay.
He's French.
I like him, but 80 million is
Good, but he's not
holy.
80 million.
He'd do well. He'd do well at United. Let's be honest.
Oh,
You
I'd
know who
take him in a
I've
heartbeat.
always liked from
we
Leicester?
we
is that
shell out
Jude
80 million
Bellingham.
for mediocre defenders all the time.
I know it's perfect for you guys.
Ryan Ireland again managing to talk about my club. Just can't get his.
I'm doing a little. I'm doing a little.
head
I'm
around
doing a
it.
little. Doing a little transfer into the next conversation.
Yeah, so I don't know, but this is kind of worth mentioning. I mean, this was a good showing for Brentford. We can sit here and go, we
Yeah.
don't know what's going on with Leicester, but
Yeah.
this was a good showing for Brentford. Like,
Yep.
Ivan Toney
Yeah.
looked really good. I thought there was a lot of tools in the toolbox that were looking like they're ready for the season, and they looked like they were. I mean, again, it's a 2-2, but on the road at Leicester, I thought they looked sharp. I got to admit though, not seeing Schmeichel in net for the Foxes,
Weird.
it was
Yeah,
weird.
it was strange.
Yeah, it's not right.
It was weird. It threw me off.
I still
they're
don't get
gonna-
that. I still don't get that. Did he just want out? Like, was he just trying to take a step back? I didn't understand that. Why
I
did
think
he
they
leave?
need money, and I think they're probably going to certain players and going, we need the money.
Yeah.
And Nice is a really nice place to move.
Barcelona. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like South.
Man United, first game of the season for Eric Ten Hag, drops points to Brighton 2-1 in a game that just set the world
Look how
on
happy
fire
JP is.
afterwards. Dave Convery has done a 5 things about this game. Let's start with Dave. Dave, what did you think of this game? What's happening?
You know what I mean? You saw me. I was all excited for preseason. Then the starting 11's the same team from last year. What's happened the last time we played Brighton? We got beat
McFred.
4-0. McFred in the middle of the park. Maguire starting at
there's
center back.
Wait. There's still 22 days of the transfer window. It's not over.
It's
yet.
fine. You're fine. You're
No.
getting it all.
Yeah, you
you
don't-
could
you
be
don't
lucky.
need
A new
to-
striker, a new
you don't
center
need to
mid,
do
a new
business
defender.
early.
Well, hold on a second though. There is
No,
there-
Dave, they've got a point. The
No,
season's
they're
over.
right.
We lost the game. No, we lost
I know.
the game, Dave. The
I know.
season's
The-
over.
The world is falling, but I mean, in United world, the world is falling, like the Glazer ends. But it was like, if we want to net this, it was a really poor performance, in particular in the first half. It's the same team. There is no midfield. United are the easiest team to play against in the Premier League because you could just walk through them, right? And then you see the center backs are at 6s and 7s. This guy's got a big job ahead of him. It's going to be a long season, so I would say two things quickly. Three things. One, he's got a lot of work to do on the training pitch. Two, they really need to get some work done in the window, and what I'm hearing right now is terrible. But three, more importantly, I thought Brighton played very well. Graham Potter's got that team organized, and they did a good job. They capitalized, but United were horrendous.
You want to play. Brighton are so well organized, and
they're good.
So hard.
They lost their two
good.
best players. The two best players in the offseason.
Didn't matter.
But Brian, do you disagree? Do you think Brighton are all of a sudden not hardworking and well organized?
I think they are, and I think they're well managed. And
That's
I'll
great.
give you that.
Dave, what do you think of Martinez? What did you think of his debut?
I thought he was pretty good. I mean, it's tough when you play with Harry Maguire, a guy who
United fans are hilarious right now.
No, he doesn't. When you play with Harry Maguire, he's a center back who can't read the game, and on several occasions, and I think for at least one goal, maybe both goals, he's coming over to cover for him, and he doesn't scan the field. And the first thing you have to do as a center back is read the play, and a leader kind of talks to each other to figure out where, like you used to see it with Alderweireld and what's his face at Spurs, all like constant communication. And there's this whole thing where everyone thinks everyone's hard on Maguire. I just don't think he's anywhere near good enough. He's a liability, especially when you fret him.
It's probably very telling of the
Martinez
Harry
was
Maguire
good though.
Partnership.
I thought
he led the league in recoveries his first game at Old Trafford, and that's probably more to do with the fact that he's partnered with Harry Maguire. Right. I thought he 3 touches I had to rewind on because 3 times he did something with the ball where I was just like, center back shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
and I just
this also might be the end. This might be the last season for Marcus Rashford if he really doesn't figure it out, because it's starting to look like he really is just a tier or two below.
Broken. No, he's not tier 2. He's just broken.
Listen. He had all season to figure it out last year. He might not be that level. Who knows? It's disaster land right now in United. The whole world, everyone's laughing at us. Everyone's taking the piss, and that's okay.
Dave, don't you think that you're also kind of subject to the whole the bullshit of it all? Like, I know these clowns are having fun with it, and I know a lot of not real fans of United are having this disaster thing. But even saying on the back of one performance where Rashford wasn't really given the ball by anybody in any real good areas, you're talking about he's done.
Hold on a second. He had a horrendous season. Hold on. He had a horrendous season last season. It's almost. Hold on. It's almost last chance saloon for him this season.
No, it is last chance saloon, but I don't think the first game against Brighton is the chance.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying so he needs to figure it out.
Let me say one thing. So 2-3 weeks ago, we had a conversation where the narrative around Man United was the transfer window isn't open. And today, when I just
isn't closed,
that your isn't closed, sorry, and your reply was, "Oh, this whole season's over because we lost one game," rather than acknowledging that 3 weeks ago, the fact that Man United hadn't done their business was shit. This is part of the problem. The standards at United are so low that even the other day,
I remember the conversation, and I actually said I don't think we're gonna get everybody in by the start of the season. Yeah, and I also said if that gets us certain players that we have to wait on until late in the window to get, I'm okay with that.
Is that Rabiot? Is that a player you're waiting on getting?
My God.
Okay.
So it's a disaster.
We can transition to all things you want,
though.
Okay, hang on.
I mean, so it's part of the conversation.
We can. I will happily have a conversation when the transfer window is actually done. And air quoting transfer window still open. It is still open. That's not like an air quotable worthy.
I know, but
hold on a second. Everyone, hold on a second. Zaz is making a good point, and Paul, you would have to agree with it. Look at Liverpool. They needed a striker. How long ago did they bring Nunez in? City needed a striker to replace Aguero. How long ago did they bring? Because they targeted these people early. Ten Hag's been there in May, and I know the whole De Jong saga, but it doesn't look good with the business that we've done so far, considering the holes that are in the team.
Dave, they bring in everybody that you want. Your mental list of everybody you want gets brought up, and it didn't happen in time for the Brighton game.
You needed 10 players.
Is that a mark of no? Okay, Brian, we're not going to get 10 players. That's ridiculous.
But you need it. So,
Well,
so
let's
to
see.
not
Okay,
bring
let's see.
in
You
like
get 10
No,
players.
players
let's
that
be
are-
Brian Ireland.
right. Let's be realistic.
Brian Ireland, it's right. Let's say we bring in 10 players by the end of the transfer window.
No, bring
and we're
in
very
two
happy.
that matter.
But let's say we
They haven't
bring in
even done
10
that.
and we're very happy with those 10.
I'm not going to say the 10. I'll do the 2 or 3.
And we didn't have it in time for the Brighton game. Or
No.
game coming up
I'll
on
be
Saturday.
happy, but the
Does that
fact
mean
that we
the
didn't.
transfer window is a failure?
No, it
Of
doesn't.
course
But
the
you have.
transfer
But
window's a failure.
No.
Yes, it
Of
does.
course it is. It's like the
in
same
what I
thing,
just
like,
described. No.
Because you're in a
no, that's not true. That's not true. It just means you did your business late. It just means you did your
want
business
Azaz
late,
to tell me
right?
exactly
But it's not
why.
ideal.
No, hang on. Everybody,
fail.
push.
It's
I
not
want
true.
Azaz to explain to me exactly why. If Man United bring in every single player they possibly could want by the end of the transfer window, and there are 2 games where they are not available because it's at the end of the transfer window, you're saying, despite the fact they bring in everybody they could possibly want and they miss 2 games with those new players, that's a failure of a transfer window.
No, that's not a failure of a transfer
that's not
window.
what-
That's
Oh,
not
I thought
a
that's what you
failure.
guys were saying. I thought you guys were saying.
No,
But
no,
but you
that's
have.
not. That's not. But that's
No.
not going to happen. So
But
we might as
like,
well
we
talk
don't
about
know
the
what's
deal.
going to happen
you're
because
not
the
gonna get
transfer
any
window
of them in.
hasn't closed yet.
We do have to wait. We do have to wait. But to Azaz's point earlier, it does.
You're not
It's
gonna get any of
indicative.
them in, mate.
It's
Sorry.
indicative of how the club is being run right now. The fact that they haven't. We know there's a whole saga going on with De Jong at Barcelona. But honestly, why even deal with that? Like, move on to somebody
And
like.
Ronaldo and
Yeah,
That's the thing,
it's a train
He knew
wreck.
he
But
was
to
coming
Paul.
in early.
But
He
to
must have
Paul's
had a list
point,
of guys.
let's really judge it at the end of the window. But as of right now, for being fair across the board, it doesn't look good. It doesn't feel good. And if you're in the Man United world right now, like I am obsessively, and it's not good,
Connie,
dude,
can I ask you
I'm
a
telling
question?
you right now. Hold, let me finish. The sky is falling right now. Like within our fan base, and I'm not saying
agree.
it's fair or accurate, but I'm telling you.
Oh.
The sky is falling, and I don't think
We
that's
are going to end
good.
it on this one because I just realized
Yeah.
we're 45 minutes into it. We haven't even gone
Yeah.
through everything. Manchester City look fucking fire.
Oh my God!
West Ham, I don't know if you guys caught the heat. That
West
in
Ham were
London.
terrible.
West Ham were terrible, but they were decent the second half. They had
They had like 15 minutes maybe. But, yeah.
They had possession quite a bit. I thought they looked dangerous at times. I thought they had a door opened, but sure enough, as soon as you give that door opening to Man
To
City,
Haaland.
here you go
Wait,
on the
wait.
counter.
Yeah.
Hold on. You guys all thought he wouldn't do that great. He's going to take some time to adjust. It's going
It's
to take a while
one
to-
game, JP.
No,
chill
hold
out,
on. That
man.
Are you
second
really
goal
doing
was
this?
so fucking good. That run he made, that
He
second
scored
goal,
a
Kevin
penalty
Bryant,
in one good
The
run.
second
against
goal.
shitty defense.
that was a
I know it was a good
prime.
goal. It was
It
a
was
good
Should have had a
goal.
hat trick.
That was
One
a-
game.
that was a-
Brian, are you gonna have a narrative?
He should
Are
have
you gonna have a
had-
narrative
No,
against
I'm
Holland
not.
this season? Like, what's it
I'm
gonna take
not.
for you to get on board? That dude, he's a
I'm
mega
gonna-
signing.
It's going to take
He
data,
is a
dumb nuts.
beast.
It's going to take some
Like
time.
2 goals in
He
his
scored-
first game, and he should have had
He
3.
scored a penalty
And
in
there
his
are
first in
certain
one of
players
those
where
goals.
that doesn't apply to him because
Okay.
they're freaks in nature, and he is one of them.
Okay.
Hold on, before we get into
Can we-
this comparison, can I make one comment about the
impressive.
City
It was
game?
impressive.
You know, as good as Holland was, he's got his 2 goals. You know who was Rolls Royce, and literally just to sit back and watch him play
Kevin
this game
De
is a
Bruyne?
treat. No, Rodri. It was an
Oh, yeah.
absolute masterclass. Like it was like Xavi and it was just so good. I remember they panned to their bench, and I saw all of their options on the bench, and I was like, why are we even having a Premier League this season? It's fucked, man. They're so good.
It's Bayern
Yeah.
Munich. Like,
We've
right.
had this
fucking
conversation before. It's fucking pointless. We know,
Dude,
that City are
I
gonna
know.
be way
yeah.
better than everybody else. They're gonna have the access to players way more than
All
anybody
right.
else. They can spend all the money.
Let's
Who gives a fuck
focus
about
up to the next thing. Okay. I want to
Boring.
be really clear here. Nobody ever on this show said Holland's not a very good striker. We've all seen what he can do because we've all watched him for the last
Oh, yeah.
2 or 3 seasons. So JP, don't come at us like all of a sudden scoring a goal is something we've not seen him do before.
Oh my god, he
what
did
did you
it!
guys say?
Oh my God.
He's gonna get 15
We-
to 25.
we have
I
always
still, I
I
still,
didn't
I
say
still
that.
stick by that, JP. I
Oh,
still
We have
stick by
always
that.
You
questioned
get down to
his
that
fit
30.
He
within a
played West
rotation.
Ham at the opening game of the season.
Can
and
we
he
make
was
a bet then,
terrible.
Bri? Can we?
But hang
I'll
on,
make
hang
a bet
on.
with
No,
you.
No. I don't want.
Whoa, I wanna
Okay,
hear
we're gonna get
bets.
on track because this is wildly going off track, and it's always because of you, Dave.
I
The
know.
question we're gonna
It's
pose:
I like it,
Yeah,
Dave. I like it.
it's
We'll
me,
do it
but
offline if you want to have
Erling-
that. I'm fine with it.
Erling and Darwin both off to the races. Darwin off the bench, likely to, I think, to probably start moving
Kane will
forward.
still score more.
Erling Haaland, penalty, well deserved. taken nicely, and a beautiful goal where he's 1-on-1 after West Ham kind of look like they're sucking a little bit and they look tired. Are we maybe going to start to see this young guns race? Is this the potential for the next 3 or 4 seasons where these guys do a little bit of like I saw what you did on Saturday, I'm playing Sunday? Can we maybe get a real striker race going in the Premier League with these guys?
That'd be cool.
I feel like Erling Haaland is just refined better than Darwin Núñez. Like, I feel like it's going to be Erling Haaland is always just above Darwin Núñez, and he's always trying to catch him, which I'm okay with that race because that is good shit to see, and that's going to add for some great games between Liverpool and Man City. I can't wait for that one again.
I'll chime in on this for a second, though. Hold on. Before you go, that's the thing when Núñez was getting like linked to Liverpool and United, my major takeaway from him was he's just an out-and-out goal scorer. He's a finisher. And my takeaway with him joining Liverpool now with their attack, he's going to get more opportunities. And he's going to bang in the... If you play as a striker on a team like City or Liverpool, the one thing you're guaranteed to get is chances. So I think it's going to come down to, and I know it sounds stupid and basic, who's going to take them? Who's going to create more? And he looks like, to me, Haaland looks like a more complete player. But when I look at Núñez, he looks like more of a finisher. But I think, if these teams can stay on the same level they've been on, I think we definitely have a race, a potential one anyway. And you got to remember, before whoever goes next, City rotate more. I think Darwin will play more. Like everyone who owns Haaland in fantasy is going to be like, what the fuck's this guy doing on the bench? Because that's how deep their squad is. He's not going to play every week.
Ironically, Darwin didn't start his first game in the Premier League.
Exactly.
I don't think it's going to be that much of a competition because the competition for goals is going to be Haaland versus Salah.
I think it's Kane versus Salah, but all right, sure.
And apparently Kane's going to... Because like earlier on, Bobby K says numbers don't lie.
I cannot wait.
And then Mo Salah, his numbers don't lie. So Darwin's going to be...
True.
Kane and Salah will score more than both of these players. Both of them together will both do it.
Well...
separately.
I'm gonna remind everybody. I am gonna remind everybody what the question was for the next 5 years.
But there's an answer to it.
Are we starting to see something? And it could be these guys could score 12 goals this season, but then next year 10 more, like 22.
So there's a future here.
I'm asking, are we going to start to see something here between these guys that we could start looking forward to for years and years to come?
Yes.
Harry Kane will be very good for a few more years, but
Kane
eventually,
and Salah will be better than both of them still.
Both those guys are in their prime right now. We can talk about what's going to happen this season if you want, but that's not what the question is. I'm saying, can we get excited about these guys potentially being the next 5 or 6 years of Premier League?
I think the answer to that question is if Liverpool continue to build their team up and support around, because we all know City's just a machine and this guy will be banging them in for fun. It's if Liverpool can stay at the level they're at now, and he gets the service. Salah will score, but Salah can make as well too as us. And the big difference between him and a Bobby is this guy puts the ball in the net. He just needs to get the chances. So definitely. I think yes. I think we could definitely see it. And again, as much as you guys think it's going to be between Salah and Kane, I think you got to throw Haaland in that mix as well if he plays enough games. You really do, because when he plays the bottom half of the table, it's going to be braces and
every game.
Braces and it's going to be it's going to be easier for Haaland than it's going to be for Salah and Kane. It just is.
No, it isn't. They've done
it. It is. They set up around him. He should have had 3 or 4. He should have 3.
You've seen him play one game.
You know who this player is, Brian. He slots into this team easily. You just don't want him to be that good. You don't. You got to be logical.
Agree, the guy who won't be winning the Golden Boot in the Premier League moving forward is Timo Werner.
Oh, Timo, see you later.
Oh man,
is this underreported?
Yes,
the failure of Chelsea.
I want in on this.
The hit they took only 2 years at Chelsea. They've sold him for
20
different
mil.
reports, but
25
that's
peanuts.
Less than half of what they bought him for. He was a goal scoring machine when he was playing the Bundesliga, and just devoid of confidence the entire time he's at Chelsea. His finishing was shit. A lot of it was on him, the player, but another deep cut to the striker curse at Chelsea, and nobody seems to be talking too much about this. This is I actually get kind of annoyed. I think Chelsea failures get underreported significantly, but this is like this kind of happened quietly, and I was like, I'm taking
another funeral for a Chelsea striker. The graveyard keeps getting bigger and bigger for those Chelsea strikers. It's crazy.
I have to add in that this is like, God, man, it's so weird. I feel like they buy strikers and they just like, all right, we're buying the striker for this system. Now let's do this system. Like every time. And it's like players just get shoved off to the side for forever. For 2 seasons, they get sold just like him. And it's really kind of sad to see how they just bomb out guys like this. Because to me, Timo Werner he's still a very good player. He's lightning quick. He runs the channels like a beast. He would have been perfect for a Wolves. He would have been beautiful for like a West Ham or
so you're saying he's not top 6
Villa.
He's not a Premier League winning forward. That doesn't make him a bad forward. He's still really like a likable guy. He never stopped running. I really liked him.
I'll disagree with that. I'll disagree with that. When he came over from Germany, he was scoring. I think it was the pressure of being at Chelsea and because it wasn't that he didn't do all the hard yards he just missed It's like when he got to Chelsea, he forgot how to score because all he did in Germany was score. He couldn't. The truth is, he couldn't handle the fucking pressure. He couldn't. So maybe he's just a better fit in Germany where no one's going to be on his ass every week.
Tons of time on the ball.
And I think he also opens up the fact that we overrate the German league because Bayern Munich are so good. Just as a heads up. Good call.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of flops from Germany. I mean, arguably the only Klopp like the guy who's not done it for Klopp, Naby Keita, is also from Germany, and he was a big name, and he conquered the league, and he was their MVP, and so on and so forth. So, I kind of think the Timo Werner one's always going to be about his misses. Unfortunately, he runs the channels great, makes so much space, pulls
so many sitters,
out.
man. So many sitters.
That's it. Like when you're missing that many sitters, and your job is to put the ball in the net, the rest of
it's clearly a confidence issue in that moment because you're in the same position you've been in many, many, many times before, where there's no difference between that at that moment when you're a striker and you're taking a shot. There's no difference between that moment from league to league. It's pressure. The pressure got to him, and he couldn't finish, and that's the difference.
Totally.
Muted.
No, Paul, you're on mute.
Oh, you're muted, man. Yeah.
Weird because we talked about Chelsea not having any.
He's back.
And they just quietly usher him out the door. There's a reason why he's at the door. I get that, but also, where are the strikers in that squad?
Yeah.
Like
they don't have one.
There's not one, and that they're not Man City.
They're going to get one, but he might not be the right one either.
Yeah,
like I can see Chelsea getting one. I just don't know who it's going to be, and I don't have faith in them to recruit the correct players.
I heard Arnautovic might be available.
Oh yeah, that's a fun rumor.
Just
did anybody else notice that like that came with like no substance.
Doesn't need substance. Everybody laughed. Get over yourself.
That was just a weird one.
It was good.
I'm gonna attach like somebody. Mason Greenwood's gonna go to Tottenham. I heard it's because I said it out loud. It must be true.
It was in all of the.
Don't take him, Brian.
News,
don't you take him.
Don't
you take him. He's not worth
United
it.
fans so sensitive these days.
I thought it was Brian. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good one, Brian.
See, even Connie can laugh.
Yeah, you got to be able to laugh about it. You can't laugh about it, you'll cry. Exactly.
I'll be honest. It's because all he's contributed.
Hey,
so
I'm a Spurs fan. I'm used
is
to
talking
it.
about Man United. It's just weird. We're not even rivals. I don't.
Let him have it.
Barca madness.
Oh God. Have you guys been? Oh man,
the shadiness of what's happening at Barcelona right now, though.
It's ridiculous.
So bad.
It's fucking
their
crazy.
fans
How
are
are they not being sued yet?
But their fans are buying into it, though.
The fans are buying it.
They are days away from having to register players that they've just bought so they can play in their own league, and they need to make money somehow, some way to do that. And now they're going from we're going to sell players to we're going to say that the contract certain players were given was illegal and it shouldn't be standing, which is okay, fine. But who gave them the contract? Oh, well, it was Barcelona who gave them the contract, but it was illegal and it shouldn't be legally binding.
Yeah.
Like they're just a fucking shit show.
Up.
It's so wild to me. I don't even know what sports bodies or legislation can step in and be like, well, you just can't.
The players union. The players union could step in and fucking put them in check real soon.
I don't know.
But the players need to say that, and if the players say that, then Barca.
Hold on a second. You know who's doing a good job in this whole situation is La Liga. La Liga actually have stood firm several times, saying no, we're monitoring. Mm-hmm. And you know that whole these levers. These levers they keep engaging in selling their TV rights. Apparently, they even went about that illegally and amortized it through a third party and tried to say, "Oh, we got 700 million in revenue." They borrowed 600. La Liga went to them like, "Nope, this is fraudulent as well. You actually are only claiming 150 million in revenue."
La Liga
they're all over them.
But Connie, La Liga, just as an organization themselves, have allowed this shit to fester for a long time. Like this is not new.
They've
in
allowed
the Spanish
Barca
league.
and Real Madrid to get bigger than the
they've
league
been
itself.
getting away with shit for years, right?
It's one of those things.
The Spanish government has been allowed them to get to shit. It's a mess, completely a mess.
It is a mess.
Like they don't pay taxes, they don't fucking do anything proper over there.
Yeah, but the Premier League should have done this to Man City, like all those.
I agree.
Anyway,
I agree.
Right? So
I think
credit
to PSG as well. The same thing.
Yeah. Credit.
But what have we learned though? As to your point though, like the Premier League is still what? It's a business, and La Liga primarily profits off of two large teams within their league. So it's this weird slippery slope. Whereas if Barcelona and Real Madrid do well, La Liga does well, right? And it's the same with like the foreign investment that's come in through the Premier League, through Man City, through Chelsea, through now Newcastle. The people at the Premier League win, like, and it comes back to that same whole thing, like greed and money over sport, and it's just unfortunately the world we live in right now.
Wild as I like routinely dig into this, one of the things I thought was really shocking was that Real Madrid and Barcelona basically own the media, the sports media in Spain as well. So any narrative that's pushed out by the Spanish press is basically dictated by them. And
one or the other, Marca and AS.
Marca's Real Madrid and AS is Barcelona, right?
Because this summer has obviously been a bit of a, well, we want one of your players for Man United. Like, and the stories that have come out from England and Spain have been also wildly different, and the quotes have been all like confusing and like it's a gong show. As soon as I found out that it's like basically send the message you want printed the next day to the printer, like it just clarifies so much of like the miscommunication and the madness. The current stance with Frankie de Jong is that they like him, they want to keep him, they just want to nullify his current contract and go back to what he had before the bump. And he is saying, no, thank you.
No.
But I don't think they want to pay the deferred wages though. And one quick comment about Barcelona. They played a friendly. So I think Piqué and Busquets are taking pay cuts. So Brathwaite, a player of theirs who doesn't really play all that often, is on a pretty big contract. They were announcing him. He came running out. Barcelona fans booed him because he's one of the players who refuses to take. So like the fans of Barcelona in Spain are drinking the Kool-Aid, which I think is fucked. Like Man United have lost one game, and our fan base is ready to burn down Old Trafford. It's like, you got to have some level of self-respect here, and that it kind of is disheartening because I would like to see some Barcelona fans be like, our club's a joke now, you know what I mean? But I don't know. What's up, Jay?
I think we just should all appreciate, by the way, that it's not a Premier League team, and just continue watching the madness and move on.
It's great to watch it in a different league. The other thing that I read in The Athletic, which is pretty crazy, is that Real Madrid could potentially make this situation worse by pressing La Liga to do more, but they won't. And they won't because they want Barca to do well, because if Barca fall by the wayside, let's say Barca gets screwed, they can't register these players, they start getting 5th, 6th, 7th spot, then it's literally a one-team league, and the value of the league drops. So Real Madrid actually want Barcelona to get fixed to sign these players and make it a two-horse race again, so it's not just Real Madrid winning away.
You just basically described the reason why everybody was on board from Spain for a Super League. Like, this is why the Super League was a notion.
It's unreal.
Okay, so we're going to get into the games this weekend real quick. Aston Villa are going to host Everton. Stevie G
I'm terrified.
and Frankie Lamps. Who's gonna get fired first?
If Villa gets scored on in the first 10 minutes, Villa Park will fucking erupt at Stevie G. Stevie G will be escorted off the field at halftime. The daggers will be out, and I'm saying that because and this is also about people are like, oh well, you're going over the top here, but the narrative we've been given this whole year is we're bringing in top players, we're paying top dollar, we're giving them huge wages, we want a top 10 finish, and we're gonna freaking get there. And we don't even look like we're going to get top 15 right now with the way we played last week.
One game, JP. Chill the
I
fuck
know,
out.
but you know what?
You're the new Stan.
System.
Yeah, Stan, isn't he?
No, dude. I call it early when I see
Should
it.
have Stan on for the show. I get him on next week.
I just don't.
Do we have to? He's so fucking negative.
I love Stan.
I hope Villa turn around. I hope Stevie G proves me wrong. I hope he makes changes. But if he sits Mings again and shit goes south, it's going to get really ugly.
JP, man, you're playing Everton. You're playing Everton. Everton are garbage, okay? Just play a better game, and you'll likely get 3 points.
Villa?
Yeah, what? We lost
maybe
2-0.
0.
2-0.
Nil. You lost 2-0.
I predict a 1-1 or a 0-0.
Go, dude.
I was going to say, I don't think any manager gets time nowadays, though, to be honest with you. Like, he has had money, he has had the preseason, but this goes to any manager, like whether it's like, look at Klopp, for example. Like, he didn't do anything for 2 years. Like, we just barely qualified for Europe, then we had a random run to the Champions League final. Like, we all knew what was happening behind the scenes, but like, he didn't win anything for like 3 seasons. So it's hard, man. Like, I think the time thing is really important. And it's a major reason why certain clubs who could have been on the cusp of something just don't give it enough time. So that's the one thing I would say. Like, I feel like, I get it. There might be another season of like mid-table mediocrity, but like, what's the solution? Even
stick with the system.
That's just it.
If you want mid-table mediocrity, though, you have to beat Everton right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think Villa will beat Everton.
Sure they do.
I think Villa will be fine, to be honest with you. It just depends where their fans expect them to be and where the board expects them to be. And if he's not living up to the potential, cool, get rid of him. But who's then going to come in?
Who do you bring in?
And you press reset.
That's the hard thing.
I think
every time you press reset, it's a reset, and it's hard.
Arsenal hosting Leicester. If Tielemans is not playing this game, for whatever reason, he doesn't make the bench, he's not in the squad, I kind of feel like we can suggest that Arsenal are going to be signing themselves a Tielemans sometime
looks that way.
In the
following
next week.
Yeah. But if he's playing against Arsenal, this is going to be an interesting, they're going to call it an audition. They're going to make a big deal about what he does against the team that's like potentially looking to buy him. That's probably where this game gets the most interest. Jamie Vardy likes to score against Arsenal. That's true. That's great.
It's a great like if Tielemans goes to Arsenal, and I think they've already had a pretty good transfer window. Tielemans going to Arsenal makes Arsenal much better in that midfield if he can stay fit.
Yeah.
And it's a fitness issue. He's had that problem. He's not consistent all the time, but he's really good. He's really good, and he offers them something that Arsenal currently don't have in their midfield. I would not be worried in any way, but I would think that I think Arsenal go up a level a little bit from where I put them at currently with a Tielemans in that side if he stays fit.
100%.
We will find out. Otherwise, though, I think Arsenal probably walk into this game heavy favorites. Leicester again not looking that great. Arsenal, I think Arsenal might be a clean sheet machine this season. Again, I was really impressed with the back three I saw on opening day, and I think they've Saliba was very good.
Saliba, the new boy, he got the man of the match. It says everything about sort of how that game went, though. They ended up having their man of the match being their best defender, meaning they had to defend a lot. So, but he was great. I mean, to be fair to be fair to him, he looks the player. He's tall. He's good on the ball.
Oh, he was like one of the best defenders in Europe last year. He's going to be very good.
No, but I'm just saying at Arsenal, he has a good football brain. He looks like he fits the bill when it comes to what Arsenal needed for a long time.
Going to be great.
So I give them a ton of credit for him and for him coming in the way he did. He looked very good.
Brighton are hosting Newcastle. This will be an
This could be a
interesting
good
one
match.
because again,
Yeah.
Newcastle didn't really change all that much because of the summer, but they did have a very strong second half of the season when they made a few signings and brought in Gordie Howe. Jordy. I'm gonna say Gordie Howe accidentally all the time. My hockey brain cannot process that there's somebody named Howe that isn't starting with Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
So I'll just say Howe moving forward. This should be interesting because I think a question mark still remains. What are Brighton? Hardworking, very hard to play from the back against. They press very well. That's just their team mantra, but they are a weak inside. They don't have the players they had last year. Two of their best players arguably have gone. What does that look like against the Newcastle squad? So there's going to be some questions asked and hopefully answered in this game, which should be interesting. The next game should be a foregone conclusion, I think. Manchester City against New Boys. Bournemouth, Manchester City are going to be hosting them. This will be interesting, I think, because I already expect to not see at least 3 players that started for Manchester City in game 1 not starting this. I think rotation for Pep will start right away, and then we can get a real sense of like what Manchester City's approach with Haaland this season will be.
Yeah.
How often we're going to see this rotational thing. How many Premier League players are going to sell him the next day if he doesn't start?
I have a feeling he won't.
Man City win this game.
I have a feeling he won't start. No, I don't think he will. I think Paul's right. That squad's so big, and I think I wouldn't be surprised to see like Mahrez and Alvarez up front, and like he's got like 3 or 4 that he always keeps.
He doesn't rotate it that quick, guys.
He's not going to rotate right away.
I don't know. He's got a big squad.
Like 5-7 games,
Mahrez didn't play game 1. He's arguably their only right winger. Aki played. He's not first
John
choice.
I think you're
Stones
going to
maybe.
see. I think you're going to see. The same front 3, maybe other than Mahrez coming in.
But these are the games I'm talking about, Bri. Whereas if Haaland starts this game, like I
think
nail him on.
I think Haaland starts the first 4 or 5 games just to get him into the system, into the side.
But
I don't
I'm
think there's any
nailing
reason
him on.
to change that, especially
nailing
from
him
a
on for
system perspective.
A brace at least, or maybe even a hat trick, but it wouldn't even be that surprising. Like if it's the service he's gonna get, it's gonna be ridiculous.
If he'll get the first 10 goals.
Yeah,
Southampton host Leeds.
I accept I could be completely wrong.
Southampton are going to host Leeds. We don't know what to expect of this game. I feel like this will probably be a pretty sloppy one. High scoring is what my gut says in this one. That's probably the most I'm going to argue or offer up when it comes to this game. Well, who knows? Who knows, JP? Do you think it's going to be a 1-1?
No, I'm just saying that's like Murphy's Law, right?
Murphy's Law.
I think it's 3-3, 3-3, 4-4, and so 0-0.
No.
I am more interested, I have to admit, with what happens with Wolves against the high tempo pressing machine that seems to be Fulham to start the season, because I think that's an interesting combination to play against, especially in that midfield. There was a lot I liked about Fulham. Like I have to be very clear about it. I thought some of their midfield play was very good. Pereira looked really
done well in the offseason.
Lively.
Did he look good?
Yeah.
Pereira played well. Yeah,
I think he played well. I think Fulham's energy will take them a long way in this league if they can keep that up fit for the season like that against teams like this. Like Wolves were quite good up until mid-season last season in the season prior and ran out of steam. Fulham will need to do the same. They'll need to maintain the level that they can press that they pressed that against against Liverpool last week. They have a lot there. It's just whether or not it's going to be enough to sustain it for the rest of the season.
Last week,
Wolves have been kind of crap for a bit though, right? Like the end of the season last year, pretty badly
trending.
And like they look a team on the downfall. They did sign Connor Cody recently, who I do think is a massive. Or sorry,
no, they let Guedes.
Sold
Connor Cody. They
sold Connor Cody. Thank you.
Yeah,
they didn't sell him. He's on, guys. He's on loan.
He's at Everton.
But
he's on loan. He's on loan for the season.
He's not in the side anymore. Connor Cody was a leader for Wolves, right?
So good for them last year.
It's a big miss. It's a big miss for that team and the way they played. Now maybe they're going to change the way they play.
We also said last week
that getting something out of this game.
If Mitrovic can get chances and they can create, and
he looks
I feel
really good.
He can score.
That's the question I was going to ask.
But that's it. If they create enough chances for him, he could have a great season.
When he played before in the Premier League wasn't scoring because nobody was making
He
the
looks
chances
different,
for
though.
him. He now looks like he's prepared to do the work to make the chances for himself.
He looks more fit than he did before.
He looks like he's ready to run, and he's looking like he's ready to press.
Exactly.
And that was an element that was missing to his game before. Can he keep it up? Again, the Premier League is different.
I think
from
the
championship.
style mattered with the manager who he played under, and I think.
But he definitely looks like
Marco
he's
Silva's getting something out of him.
He's prepared. He's prepared to go down and win penalties. We know that.
He is. Yeah. He's not the.
Of course.
The safe assumption that he's not good enough for the Premier League yet. We don't know yet, but let's find out against Wolves.
Started very well
together. Brentford are hosting Manchester United in the game that we'll call the Can Eric Ten Hag recover and get this group of players to recover. There's no way he starts Fred and McTominay as a combination again, right, Dave? Like
if he does, and anyone here bets,
he's failed as a manager.
So everyone knows the lineup for every Premier League game is released an hour before each game. So if you check the lineup and you see Fred and McTominay in midfield, just take all the money in your betting app account and just put it on Brentford, because they will. And I'm not being facetious. I don't think I'm being dramatic. They'll win. So to Paul's point, and I won't say, I'll make one point. The only thing I want to see here is changes to the starting 11. And if I don't see them, and I know it's week 2, and I know we keep saying everyone just relax, but I will immediately start to look at the manager and be like, are you not watching what we're watching? You don't have a midfield. You've got kids on the bench. You got kids on the bench who can step in and do a much better job, in my opinion. So if I don't see drastic changes to the starting lineup, I'll be shocked. And if I do, I'll go in with an open mind. But I'm still feeling very nervy about this team, as I think I should be. What about you, Paul?
Eric Ten Hag, you have been warned. Get it together, man. Change the team.
Hi, Mr. David Conner.
Please.
Nottingham Forest are going to host West Ham. West Ham, who got beaten pretty soundly 2-0 by Manchester City, probably are looking very much forward to getting hosted by Nottingham Forest.
All right, let's start the season now.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a game where you just got to get past that first game against Man City and then beat the shit out of whoever you get next. And getting a promoted Nottingham Forest, who did not look good in game 1, is probably exactly what the Hammers were after. So I think the Hammers are going to hammer Nottingham Forest.
It'll be interesting to see how Forest respond to how poor they were and how easily they were beaten in this game, and whether they can get organized against a West Ham side who do have something, but they need to sort of find their way, I think, and Nottingham Forest have an opportunity here at home to make it uncomfortable for West Ham.
If West Ham have a good game, and Rice is a big part of that good game, if he has himself a great game, it will affect what gets trended on Twitter after the results of Chelsea and Tottenham, because Chelsea fans are already kind of clamoring for Rice to be a part of the massive spending spree they seem to be going on all summer and for the foreseeable future, because they're just spending the money. Chelsea season. Hosting Tottenham. Again, I think the team that looks like they've got it more together, that are kind of in a place where they're ready to start the season, are Tottenham. I don't think Chelsea are in that state right now. I think Chelsea are still kind of in that pulling all the last pieces together, kind of working out some stuff condition. And I think that's probably going to be evident on this game. And I would say that if I were a Spurs fan, this is probably the most comfortable I've felt going into Chelsea in a long time. Brian, is that fair?
I would say, if not ever. I mean, that from my own, I think we've beat them once in 30 plus years. I forget the exact number, but it's been a long time at the bridge. I said on our channel on Tottenham on Tour with a conversation we were having, I said I want to play the teams that we either had really difficult times with breaking down, like the sort of Burnleys of the world, or the teams that spanked us over and over again, like Chelsea's, who I think they beat us 4 times in a month and a half. And I want to know where we're at. So this is going to tell us where we're at. I do think we are further ahead than probably most teams are, other than maybe City. I think we're a little bit further ahead than Liverpool. I'm not saying they will finish ahead of Liverpool. I just think currently, as where we are in our progression through the preseason, and just sort of developing the players that have come in. We've brought in some really solid players that made our depth of squad what it needs to be to compete at the highest level. Whether we're there or not, we'll sort of determine that. I think this is the best time to play Chelsea, whether Chelsea, Arsenal, City,
Liverpool, I'd rather play them like right at the beginning of the season under a Conte preseason, because we're a different side at the moment. Like, we as we saw against, I know it's Southampton, but getting 4 goals without Son and Kane scoring any is insane. And I do think Chelsea should be worried, but I'm also not going into it thinking we're going to easily beat them. I think it's going to be a difficult game. They have a very good side. They have very good depth. Their midfield's incredibly good. If their wing backs perform the way we've seen them perform, especially at the beginning of last season, then it's going to be a really fun to watch what happens with those wing backs on both sides, because both managers like to really make that part of their game. So I'm excited about it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun and nervous, but yeah, it's gonna be. I think Spurs should get the result here. I see Alexander Hill said 3-0 Spurs. I think that's generous. For me, it's tight as fuck. It's like 1-0, maybe 2-1, but it's gonna be very, very tight.
This game's interesting because as much as it is like a bit of a litmus test for like Spurs to see, okay, where are we really at? I think
Chelsea.
It's the same for Chelsea too, right? Because Chelsea know they didn't play well last week. But I also think they're playing against a very formidable Spurs squad.
They're going to come up for it. They're going to be up for it.
Yeah, and I think he's going to line up a certain way that may be beneficial to them.
They slaughtered us last year, like 4 games in a row.
I can't
like a
wait
month
to
and a
watch
half.
this game because
it was bad.
I want to see where Spurs are at, and I think this is the best test for them. But I could say the exact same comment. So my curiosity level for this game to see, I think it's going to be good. I kind of agree with Brian. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, but I think it's hard not to edge it towards Spurs with what we've seen.
For the first time in a while.
If you think about the business they've done.
Kulusevski,
Betancourt, and some of the other side.
I honestly think Perisic. I think Sessegnon had a great game, but I think Perisic.
Are we just listing players?
No, I think he's going to be the.
Everybody just went around, named different players from Tottenham.
No, but they've nailed it.
If you don't like it, we're talking about players.
Are we talking about where we're watching the game? Are we going to go to the Dun Right? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, I'd be down for that.
There we go. There's a couple of options. It's the Scotland Yard or the Dun Right. I haven't decided yet. It's my birthday weekend, so it will depend on what happens.
Yeah, some drinks and
Azaz. No, hold on, Azaz. Who's going to win in Chelsea Spurs? You think Chelsea might kind of shock them a little bit here? You've been quiet on this one. You got Spurs.
So. I think Spurs will win. I think it's just where they're at the season. I think Chelsea have a lot of work to do in the next 3 weeks. They don't look good. They don't look confident. There's holes in the squad. We've talked about it at length already earlier in the episode, even though we were supposed to talk about it now. I think
Paul got really mad at us as for
Chelsea.
that.
We got to move on, man. I'm losing steam here. We keep circling around the same questions.
I love it.
Can we just get to Azaz? Azaz, why don't you tell me about Liverpool playing Crystal Palace?
I'm always going to back the boys, even after last week, even more after last week. Darwin to start, Liverpool, and it's Anfield, Liverpool to win 2-0. It doesn't need to be more comfortable than that. And I'll take even one of those 2-0s we were talking about right at the start of the show. The Arsenal one, I don't care. I just want the points on the board for now.
They'll pump them. It'll be comfortable. It'll be comfortable. I think you'll see Salah will step up here, and he'll play a Salah-esque game, and I think it'll be comfortable for Liverpool.
Probably.
All right. Well, it's going to be an exciting, interesting and exciting game week.
Exciting for us.
In the Premier League.
Going to be miserable. We get that.
I'll be shitting it.
I don't think I will be miserable. Actually,
I could be.
I got waiting 4:30.
Remember, I am generally much more optimistic
miserable.
than Dave Convery will have an aneurysm even if we win.
Connie's realistic though. That's the difference.
I am.
But Brian, even
nervous.
if they lose, I'm not going to be miserable. I kind of know what the season is, and I know what the season's not, so I can kind of sit back and go, all right.
All right. You have fun.
I'll just I've watched you do it for so long. I've learned some tips and trips. If anything, I've been who's been really suffering through a long time.
I love how
JP's
laughing about this as his team.
I'm always in suffer mode. What does it matter? I need joys. I gotta laugh at.
Mate, I've been a Spurs fan for 30 years. I've been in suffer mode for 30 years.
I'm with Azaz. You know what? You take the 3 points whenever you can get them. I'd be happy about that. But you're right. I'll critique them. As you should, though, right? If you go to 1-0 win at Chelsea, Bri, and you guys didn't play well, you'd take the 3 points, but you'd be like, hey, but you'd be a little worried worried about the play, right?
Sure, but you also take into the moments that you get an opportunity to take the piss out of your mates who've made your life miserable for as long as you've known them. Because I've only known you guys as long as I've known Spurs being shit. So the fact that we're better than you right now, I'm going to enjoy it.
It's got to go both ways. He's right. It's got to go both ways.
But Dave, all we've ever done during that time is say, no, you're not going to win the league when he says he's going to win the league. That's all we've ever done.
I know.
You're not getting top 4.
And I will say this. I will.
Oh, come on.
Bri, when you guys won at the final whistle, on Saturday, and this is a serious question, was there a little bit of conversation that you guys could say, hey, we could get second this season, or we could push City for the league? Was there any of that being talked about or thought about by you or some other people?
I think that conversation is always going to be there when Conte's in charge, whether it's realistic or not,
yeah.
and whether it's like diluted or not is fine. But I think when you've seen what he's done at his previous clubs, you have to say that there's potential for it. Because of what he's done previously, not because it's Spurs and because of what Spurs have not done in recent past, because that's been a problem. But when you have Conte as your manager, you have an opportunity to do something you probably will never do again, because that fucker is a winner. He took Chelsea from 10th to 1st in one season. It's
true.
He can take Spurs from 4th to 1st in one season, potentially. There's a lot of things that would have to happen for that to exist. So I'm not expecting it, but I'm also not ruling it out.
Fair comment.
For further details about Tottenham, check out Brian's other YouTube channel. Plug away.
I got to ask the fucking question, Paul. If you don't like it,
plug away.
I got a legit question.
Like, come on, man.
Brian.
Tottenham on tour.
It's
Tottenham on tour.
Cross-pollination.
Hey, Paul, I got a legit quick question for you.
Yeah. Does it get us closer to the end so I can
legit question?
Hopefully. Did you hear that your manager had a meeting with the Glazers after the game?
Yes, because they were in town.
Okay, so do you have any idea? Do United fans have any idea what happened at this meeting?
I'm sure they talked about all kinds of stuff. The Glazers don't come to Manchester very often, and they probably had like an agenda of a bunch of shit they had to go through.
Okay. I was just wondering. I heard whispers that happened, and I have no idea what the fans.
I think it was just a standard.
They're never in town. They probably hadn't even met him yet. Like
nothing in it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's probably what it was.
Like they're the owners.
Yeah.
It's not. They're American owners. They're not very good owners. They were in town. I'm sure they again had about 45 minutes of conversation set aside to go through a bunch of shit.
Oh, I heard it was like 3 hours long. It was a long meeting from what they had said.
Yeah, but you can't.
Had a bottle of wine, talked about football.
We don't know shit. Tell us about what you know. It's going to take a while.
But there's
nothing in it, man.
Don't believe anything anybody ever writes. Like that's all I can say is unless somebody walks out of the room and says this is what we just talked about, you're just going to hear a bunch of people saying, "Well, this is what we think."
They went.
I was first even seeing if it was true. That was my first question.
I'm sure they had a meeting.
Be prepared, everyone, though, in the next couple of weeks for some heavy anti-Glazer stuff. There's already a lot of talk about boycotting the Liverpool game.
Like not showing up.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
Good time to end, though, because Paul is.
I tried doing this before, and I don't know if anybody wants to ask any other major questions after I do this. It was a great week. We got a great week coming up. Can we now say goodbye, everybody?
Bye.
Bye. The North End. This is the North End.
I should have been there.